Hey, good morning. We're still in Acts chapter 9, but we see the story shift from the Apostle Paul when he was Saul and he was converted to back to the Apostle Peter and some of the stuff that he was doing. As he was traveling around, it says he came to a town called Joppa in verse 36. It says, in Joppa there was a disciple named Tabitha, which when translated is Dorcas, who was always doing good and helping the poor. About that time she became sick and died, and her body was washed and placed in an upstairs room. Lydda was near Joppa, so when the disciples heard that Peter was in Lydda, they sent 2 men to him and urged him, please come at once. Peter went with them, and when he arrived, he was taken upstairs to the room. All the widows stood around him, crying and showing him the robes and other clothing that Dorcas had made while she was still with them. Peter sent them all out of the room. Then he got down on his knees and prayed. Turning toward the dead woman, he said, Tabitha, get up. She opened her eyes, and seeing Peter, she sat up. He took her by the hand and helped her to her feet. Then he called the believers and the widows and presented her to them alive. This became known all over Joppa, and many people believed in the Lord. Peter stayed in Joppa for some time with a tanner named Simon. I love this story because it shows the effect of the gospel, no matter who you are and what your particular gifts are. You see Peter, a great apostle, great preacher, able to work miracles and bring a dead woman to life in the name of Jesus. And then you see Tabitha, who made clothing. She cared for the poor and she took care of people. She had a gift, and she did whatever she could to help other people. And a crowd of people loved her and mourned for her because of what she did, because of who she was, because the love of God that had been poured into her, she was pouring out on others. And the gospel, the power of the gospel to save was used, showed its power both through Tabitha, who, to most would have been just a nobody, right? She didn't have many talents. She wasn't highly gifted in the sense that we think of famous people are highly gifted. And yet the power of the gospel to save was working through her. And what we also need to understand here, Peter, before he could heal her, bring her back from the dead, he prayed. It's not my power, it's not my gifts that are effective. It's when the gift that God has given me is used for his name's sake and by the power of his name, then he makes what we do successful, productive, and beneficial to his kingdom. So whatever he's gifted you with, whether in your mind it's small or big, or in the mind of others it's small, use it for his glory, in his name, for his sake, and you'll see the power of the gospel at work. Make sure the gospel is behind everything you do, and you'll see what God can do in and through you for the sake of his kingdom in the lives of others. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow.